Hey, folks.
Surprise, Tino.
Hello, Rick.
I forgot to tell you that I'd be on this one.
Yes, I was on the last one. Hello, David.
Yeah.
Hey, Tino, how are you?
I'm fine.
Hi,
Yes,
David.
Rick and I worked together for the.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Good.
But we're
Good
in
to see you,
different
Rick.
countries.
Really? I know Tino is
For the international branch, and I work for the USA branch.
Ah, cool. You guys are doing important stuff. Can you hear me? Is my mic okay?
Yes, it's
Good.
fine.
Cool. My mouse. Well, it is just after 2, so I don't know. I have no idea whoever's going to join this thing. So if you guys have questions, hey, Roger, we might as well kick it off and, see where we can go from there.
Good. Yeah, sounds good to me.
David, I did reflect to you privately that there was one thing that you were doing about PayPal that I did like, and that's the way they had it set up. That there are other sites that I've seen that have a version of PayPal that forces people to acquire a PayPal account when all they want to do is use their credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of problems with that. But what occurred to me afterwards, we were talking about Stripe. I hope you can keep the monthly donation option that PayPal has on Stripe. I know you can do that on Stripe.
Yeah, I know you can do it. I don't know whether it will be doable or if it'll be when it releases or not, because I still haven't yet actually made a full transaction back and forth. So it'll be as I'm exploring the UI. I mean, as I'm exploring the code. If I can make it work, it's clearly really important to almost everybody. So, I mean, unless it's like 6 months of additional work, I'll try to get that there, pretty much quick.
Great.
Yeah, I know that's been very important since the first day of when I acquired Seamless Donations and started with it.
Yeah, it's really popular to have that. I notice places that I donate to, like NPR, push it and push it and push it. And I think I have probably, I don't know, a dozen maybe of my couple of hundred who do that.
Yeah. I mean, an annuity is great for the nonprofit, but it's also really convenient to people who want to just be able to do something without having to constantly fiddle with checkouts and things. So have all of you upgraded to 5.0 yet, or are you still staying on 4?
I'm still at 4.
Okay.
I'm on 5 and it's working. Actually, it's working, and your last beta was not. I don't know if I can diagnose. It wasn't you. It was interfering with an Ajax login pop-up that I was using on User Pro, and that wasn't unique to 5. It would pop up occasionally when you did a change on 4. Your last beta was interfering with that pop-up, but the current one isn't. So I really haven't. I don't know how to diagnose it.
Yeah, it's possible that actually was part of a fix, but I don't know. There's basically the last beta I released wouldn't let the media section update. If you clicked out and went into media, it wouldn't update. And I went through and I traced it to a piece of CSS that had nothing to do with the media section. But basically, I turned on and off chunks of code, walking my way all the way through to see what would allow it to run and what wouldn't allow it to run. And it was this one little weird chunk of CSS. So I have a check now that says if you're only on this set of pages, run this little piece of CSS. And that fixed the media update. And it may have fixed the pop-up update. Like I said, I have absolutely no idea why that had anything to do. It wasn't global CSS. It wasn't, it was a defined seamless donation selector. So, I mean, I have no idea why that was doing it, but it now stopped.
Yeah, it stopped for me.
Cool.
I installed a copy of the plugin version 5 on a different server and a different site just for testing purposes, and it didn't run because it was showing a critical error. And then I discovered that it was a PHP version because the server is in 7.2.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stopped testing over there because I know that you were using updated PHP in WordPress. So I stopped using that. But in the current version, in the real website, the development, the production site, I plan to update it to the 5.0.
Yeah, now that one's running and it's been developed on PHP 7.4, so you should be good. But you may see a bunch of errors if you have WP debugged turned on. A lot of libraries have WP debug messages, and they'll say things like, this is out of date or something like that. And the CMB2 library does that. So if you turn off WP debug, it's WP_debug. Most of those will go away.
Okay, good.
And I stand corrected. Looks like my web developer went ahead and upgraded us recently because we're on the 5.0 version as well.
Cool. Now, did you update the add-ons, or are you still using the old? You can't actually use the old add-ons. They may still be there, but they won't run.
Yeah, I think he's taking care of that too. Probably.
Good. And the world hasn't ended. It's still okay. And
so far.
Good. Well, I made it to Wednesday. I released this thing on Saturday night, and nobody's come and shot me yet. So I'm hoping it's working.
So David, you were saying that there's some plans for the future to well, obviously this is a one-man army, and of course it's going to take a lot of time, but once a Stripe is integrated, are you going to keep or perhaps give the alternative to the user to choose between PayPal or Stripe to pay, or is it going to be one or the other?
Initially, it's going to be one or the other. The payment gateways are really, it's a fundamental part of the product, right? But it's also one of the biggest challenges. And I'm not entirely sure how safe it would be to let the user switch back and forth. And I'm not entirely sure whether I can make it work. So initially, it'll be a decision that you as the webmaster makes. I may try to make that available because, it is a code option. So it might not be a problem. It might be one of those things where I say, okay, it's beta, try it. If it doesn't, send the moon out of orbit, then keep using it. I don't know yet. I won't know until I see what's involved in implementing Stripe and if I can generalize the interface. Basically, I don't know if you guys know that Seamless Donations was originally written by a guy named Alan Snell back in the mid-2000s. And he brought it up to version 3, and then he started working for Automattic, the WordPress folks, and put this thing up for adoption. And basically, it would have gone unsupported. I had a nonprofit, and I didn't want to have that nonprofit just hanging there, and I wanted some coding projects. So I picked this thing up and started working with it. But there's a lot of code, particularly the payment gateway code, that was written specifically for PayPal and specifically by him. And it's not generalizable. Almost all the code I write is generalizable. In other words, it can be taken from here and moved to here and reconfigured. But his is coded into that solution. So my job in making Stripe work is to make that code general, so that in theory, other gateways, or at least somewhat of the other gateways, can be used. If I can make that happen, then I'll have a lot more options to offer to you in terms of how you can configure it. If that proves to be a nearly impossible job, or at least one that looks like it'll take way more time than it's worth, then I might not do that. And it's entirely dependent on what the code decides to tell me, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. And so, or what about an add-on to say, add Stripe as an add-on, and then you can then just add like a button to.
I've been thinking about coding Stripe as an add-on. In fact, I've started coding, the way I've been coding it, the version I'm working on is an add-on as opposed to it built in itself. But that would mean that people would have to download it to be able to use it. And I'm hoping, and again, this will be determined later on, because moving from an add-on to internal is pretty simple. But I'm hoping that this is something that'll be built internal to the system, because I'd like people to default potentially to Stripe over PayPal, because PayPal is such a problem for so many users. So whereas if they had to download a custom version of it separately, they might not grab it. So we'll see. Again, that'll be determined. There probably will be add-ons to Stripe that add Stripe features, because Stripe is a pretty deep product. So it might come out that later on, something really cool that might be added on afterwards is available as an add-on. But I need to get it working first.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm kind of oblivious to the Stripe PayPal trade-off. What's the problem? Who's having problems with PayPal? Users or webmasters, developers?
Yes. So, okay, there's a bunch of different ways of looking at this, but the single biggest one is that PayPal changed up its way of doing things about 1.5 years ago to add more security. They did not provide some of their developers with any level of support. I get no support from PayPal, despite I mentioned the other day that we run about, or Seamless Donations users run about $4 million in donations through PayPal every year. So PayPal gets a cut of that amount. I unfortunately don't get any of that, but they get a cut of that amount. And yet they have not responded to a single support request that I've given them in the course of 4 years. Now, by contrast, I've asked maybe 15 questions of Stripe in the past 6 weeks and gotten them all answered. So I don't have good insight into PayPal to correct some of the problems people have. And people have all sorts of weird performance problems. Like, it'll go out but not come back sometimes. PayPal won't necessarily ping back the main server. It conflicts with different mobile devices. And the issue is both my code and also PayPal's code, because I know other add-ons and other people using PayPal have had similar problems, but I also know that there are some solutions that have no problems at all. And that's where I'd like to get some support and find out why. But there's something about that it makes it substantially difficult for a lot of users. Now, all gateways that transfer the user off-site do have a problem to return the user back on-site. And what that really means is your sites, if you're using Seamless Donations, don't record any credit card information. That means that you don't have to be concerned about breaches of credit card information or any of that kind of stuff. That's all held on PayPal. Sites that don't transfer to receive the credit card information, in other words, sites that stay on their own site and take data in, have that credit card data on their site at least for a moment before they send it off to the gateway, and maybe for a lot longer than that. And that increases reliability in the sense that the user isn't physically transferred to another URL and back, but it increases the security risk. Now that most sites are becoming HTTPS and Let's Encrypt allows people to do that, it's a little bit safer to allow individual sites to collect credit card information. So that may change over time, and I will be looking into that. Getting to this point where this upgrade seems to be pretty successful has been huge, because it allows me to do a lot of work I couldn't do while the previous set of code made it very, very hard to do updates.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Was that way too long an explanation?
Nope, that was fine.
Cool.
And Stripe, do you consider Stripe, yes, they give better response and support for developers. Are they a plug compatible solution as far as handling credit cards or?
In some ways. I mean, PayPal has been around forever and Stripe has been around a little bit less. I know some NPOs have complained about the fees for Stripe, but I've also had people complain about the fees for PayPal. I get the impression that the fees for Stripe are a sliver or more than they are for PayPal, but I haven't actually researched that in any real depth. PayPal is accepted in more countries than Stripe. And so for some of the international users, PayPal may be a better choice. Some of the other gateways out there are accepted even more in those countries, which is why if you look at, for example, Easy Digital Downloads, you'll see that they sell like 50 different payment gateways, and then people can choose which gateway to use. I'm probably not getting there with that. If that's the kind of stuff that you need, I think Give runs on top of the EDD engine, so they have access to those gateways. But it's unlikely that I'll put that much attention into the gateways. I'll probably put much more attention into the features. So that's kind of where that is.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, and that was a while ago, PayPal discounted for nonprofits a little. It was like 2.4 or something like that, rather than 2.9%. It wasn't very much.
Mm-hmm. That's a useful thing to know. The transactions that go into PayPal are flagged as donations from Seamless Donations, not as purchases. So there is some benefit to that. And I think I can do that with Stripe, but so far Stripe is showing up as purchases, not donations. And I want to see whether they have a specific flag for that, for their records and for yours. So is that it, guys? Do you have more you need to know, or are we pretty much covered?
I'm good.
I'm good. Cool. That is awesome. All right. Well, I'll probably do one of these. I'm going to try to do these every month or so. But you've certainly found me on the ticketing system, which is a good way to get through. Feel free to reach out if you've got questions. I'm going to ask you folks a favor just because it'd be nice. I could use a couple of good reviews on WordPress.org if you feel like doing it. That would be awesome. The last couple of reviews were people who were disgruntled about features that weren't there, and it'd be nice to see some positive stuff. But obviously, it's entirely up to you. Otherwise, feel free to reach out. And if enough people seem to want it, I'll do another one of these, in a little while. But it's really cool seeing you guys out there. Roger, I'm just looking at that scene behind you, and I'm guessing that that's your green screen. But
Yeah.
gosh, that's gorgeous. Is that your backyard?
No, I'm in central Illinois where we don't have anything quite like those mountains in the background. This is from my cousin's house in the mountain overlooking Albuquerque.
Wow.
And that's where I was supposed to be the last 6 weeks while she was in Spain and France, but she came to visit just a few days before she left.
Wow.
So I missed out on this opportunity for the last 6 weeks.
Well, it's just gorgeous. Anyway, have yourself a great day, folks.
All right. Thanks,
And
David.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.